Sorted out, Ms Grant. Ruth Maguire, up to 6 minutes, please. Could we have Ms Maguire's microphone?
Okay, there we go. Thank you, Presiding Officer. The Scottish Government motion acknowledges that women's equality has not been achieved yet and that it remains one of the greatest human rights challenges we face. While we fittingly take a global perspective today, we should be under no illusion that the root causes of the immense challenges faced by women and girls across the world are the same as those facing women and girls here. The root causes of inequality and violence are the same. There is much work to be done in Scotland, and I think the previous session we had and the systematic misogyny that was highlighted in that lays that out quite starkly. On that note, I want to talk just briefly for something that I've raised a number of occasions, quite often in a half-empty chamber, but we'll keep doing so nonetheless. And that's the, frankly, quite irrational position we have in our law at the moment in relation to prostitution. Pimping websites operate free from criminal sanctions. Men who exploit women by paying for sex enjoy impunity, while women abused through prostitution face penalties for soliciting. The Scottish Government's decades-old position is that prostitution is violence, yet our legal system criminalises the victims of that violence. Not the websites profiting, not the men perpetrating the violence, but the female victims. It's illogical and it's unjust, and we need to move on from that. Presiding Officer, no matter where we are in the world, peace and stability are precarious. And safety and security is about more than the absence of violence and war. Women's experiences of peace and security in peacetime and wartime are deeply interconnected in a world marked by male violence and rising militarianism. Globally, conflict and violence are on the rise. The accompanying human suffering is horrific, as we're currently witnessing in Ukraine, Yemen and Gaza. And we know that women and children often bear the brunt of that suffering. I'm going to speak about Gaza. In highlighting that, I want to acknowledge that colleagues have spoken about violence elsewhere, and I have no hesitation in condemning violence wherever it happens and whoever is perpetrating it. Speaking about the situation in Gaza for women and children, Save the Children's CEO Inger Ashing said that she was running out of words to describe the unfolding horror. I was struck by an article by Nesreen Malik. The title of the article was, "In Gaza there's a war on women. Will the West really ignore it because they're not like us?" She describes how the healthcare system there has been all but obliterated. The charity care state that there's no doctor, midwife or nurse to support women during labour. There's no pain medication, anaesthesia or hygiene material when women give birth. Babies are born outside, umbilical cords cut with whatever sharp objects there is to hand, and tins filled with hot water to keep the newborn warm. C-sections, painful in the aftermath, even when there are drugs, are being performed without anaesthesia at all, by surgeons who do not have water to wash their hands, let alone sterilise them, and no antibiotics for any resulting infections. In some cases, according to the Washington Post, C-sections were performed on women post-mortem. And if women and children do manage to prevail in these impossible circumstances, they're faced with displacement and hunger, while nursing painful tears, wounds and malnourished babies. Pregnant women will have had to have made a 20-mile journey from the north to the south in Gaza, and they arrive in circumstances that UNICEF describe as breach famine thresholds, and which are particularly concerning when it comes to the fate of tens of thousands of pregnant and breastfeeding women, the majority of whom can consume only one or two types of food. Mothers cannot access sufficient food to clean water to produce milk for their babies. Presiding Officer, it's hard to find words to describe that horror. I am at the point where I'm not sure how many more pictures of dead babies and women and children I can look at. I wondered if it might be helpful to share some things that people can do, some action that they can take if they're feeling helpless. Women's International League for Peace and Freedoms provides some suggestions for immediate action. Write to the UK Government and demand that they uphold their obligation under Common Article 1 to ensure all parties to conflict follow international law. This should include calling for a ceasefire. You can lobby your government for concrete actions to be taken against Israel if it does not comply with the Security Council resolution, such as sanctions. You can demand that your country cuts off diplomatic relations with Israel if it does not immediately end its bombardment and siege of Gaza and start abiding by international law. And on an individual front, you can also participate in sanctions campaign yourself. And I would urge people to find out about boycott, divestment and sanctions, a legitimate and peaceful method to tackle apartheid rogue states that has worked in the past and can work again. Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Ms Maguire.